affordable eye care, and a whole lot more. T's and C's apply.
EFC is live this Thursday. From the wilds of Reunion Island and the ancient lands of Zimbabwe, two raging bulls meet for a heavyweight title clash as Elvis Moyo takes on Anthony Morrell. Plus, Fahis Jacobs and Sibusiso Sovendile fight for bantamweight gold. EFC 122, live from the World Sports Betting Arena. Watch it on SABC Sport Channel on DTT Channel 4 from 7 p.m. Brought to you by SABC Sport.
April is Freedom Month, a month to reflect, celebrate, and move forward. SAFM is bringing you powerful stories, insightful debates, and voices that shape our nation. Stay tuned to SAFM, where freedom, history, and the future meet. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us.
Here, there, and everywhere. SAFM 106.1 FM in Bombela.
The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga, Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
No malajani, Jani wami, so fast like no malajani, Jani wami, so fast like no malajani, Jani wami, so fast like no malajani. Oh, mntano mntu nalabo mphethe ngayo izolo isithathile isigqibo akanjani noma kanjani noma kanjani wami noma kanjani so fast kanjani oh noma
Nova coming through with Noma Ganjani. Well, actually, it's Nati on the song featuring Vusinova. I feel like the two of them, their voices are interchangeable. Noma Ganjani is the name of the song, and it's brought us to exactly 1:15 on the Full Circle with myself, Bridget Masinga, on this very fine day. It is a fine Wednesday. Hey, how are you doing? I hope you are holding out well. The weather holding out wherever you are, in whichever corner of the country you are listening to us from. It's still raining this side of the world. We are a little bit over it at this particular point in time. In fact, I heard through the news that the Vaal Dam is threatening to break its walls at this point because it's filled at 100% capacity and a little bit over. So there's a keen eye that's been cast over there just to make sure that those communities in the low-lying areas and in the flood pathways, are considered and given due warning should anything happen. But hopefully it won't get to that particular point. Yeah, the rain can stop now. It can stop and give us a little bit of reprieve just for a few days. We'll take just a few days of no rain. On the show today, we're going to be catching up with Prof. Ricky, and we're looking at this new survey that was conducted, looking into South Africa's civil servants. Are they missing skills, especially when it comes to technology and their proficiency? And adaptability in incorporating current technologies? I don't know. We'll find out from the good professor. Stages, pages, screens, and more is also coming up today. And we get introduced to a new voice in jazz. We've got a debut single called The Train. So we'll be in conversation with that young new talent in the first hour of the show. The other question that we have for you in this first hour of the show is, have you started having money conversations with your children? They say it's never too late, right? We've spoken to some financial experts on the show who say that you can start even as little as 3. Have you started having money conversations with your children, and what are the main habits that you are teaching them about money or around money? So our lines are open. If you want to be a part of that conversation, you can always give us a shout. In any conversation, in fact, we are available too. You can send us a WhatsApp voice note, or you can give us a call. It's just gone 1:15. We're going to take a quick pause and then we come right back.
They say fortune can change lives, but does it change who you are? From Engoto to a Durban, twins born into struggle, now with millions in their hands, but with wealth comes division. One twin raised with responsibility, the other treated like royalty. 2 paths, one dream, Maskandi greatness. Brand new telenovela, Amalanga Wafani, where money, family and betrayal collide. Starts April 2025, weekdays at 6:30, only on SABC 1, Mzansi for sure.
The Bavarians want to display quality play to emphasize why they are called FC Hollywood. But BVB is courageous to cement a decent spot in the top half.
It's all or nothing. This is the Bundesliga. Football as it's meant to be.
Catch one of the world's greatest football derbies.
The Klassiker.
FC Bayern München versus Borussia Dortmund. This Saturday, 12 April at 6:30 p.m. Streaming live on SABC Plus and SABC Sport on TTT Channel 4. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Is there ever a bad time for a good conversation? SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga, Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
So you can find us on WhatsApp on 0614104107, or you can give us a call on 086 000 2032. Our first conversation is around a new study that tells us that South Africa's civil servants are missing skills, especially when it comes to technology. And the study was conducted by the Public Service Sector Education and Training Authority in partnership with the Tshwane University of Technology. And joining us now is Prof. Ricky Mukonza, who's an associate professor at Tshwane University of Technology. How are you doing this afternoon, Prof?
Good afternoon, Bridget, and good afternoon to your listeners.
Thank you so much for the time. So this particular study conducted by PCETA alongside TUT, and what facilitated or necessitated the study being done?
Thank you very much, Bridget, for the opportunity that you've given us to be here to share with your listeners the study that PCETA in partnership with Tshwane University of Technology undertook. And what necessitated the study is, Bridget and listeners, you would recall that the National Development Plan in Chapter 13 talks of the necessity of a capable ethical and developmental state as one of the conditions that are needed for South Africa to attain its developmental objectives. So part of what makes up a capable state are a well-skilled workforce. In other words, we are talking about a public service that has the requisite skills to be able to render public goods and services, as well as drive the developmental agenda of the state. Therefore, the study tried to look at what are those skills that are necessary for public servants, not only today, but also in the future. So in essence, if you look at the title of the study, to quote it sought to look at the future skills and competencies of the model public servant in the South African public service sector. So that's in essence what necessitated the study that we undertook.
And if we are going off the base mark that the National Development Plan defines a capable state as a well-run and effectively coordinated state institutions with skilled public servants, the question then, Prof, becomes how is SA faring in development skills for future work in the public sector?
I think what must be stated, Bridget, is that a lot is being done by training institutions, by institutions of higher education. I think there's a lot of training that is being undertaken to equip public servants. However, our study, found out that we still have deficiencies, and particularly in the appreciation and use of technological skills to be able to deliver public goods and services. So while there is a lot that is being done by the various training institutions, for example, we have the National School of Government that is offering training, but still we found out that we still have deficiencies.
Speaking of those deficiencies, Prof, so on the one hand, one finds out that there are deficiencies, and perhaps you can articulate for us what were some of those deficiencies and gap areas that need to be filled, and also if the study looked at perhaps the potential of what needs to be done in order to address the deficiencies.
Thank you very much. I think what came out very starkly in the report is that the public service has a gap in terms of technology skills. And what essentially came out is that while there's an appreciation from the public servants that we interacted with in the study, while there's an appreciation that technology skills have a role to play in the administration of the state and in how they do their day-to-day work, and technology skills have a role to play in terms of assisting them to deliver their given mandate, but they could not really connect that to their everyday jobs. They couldn't articulate to us how, for example, issues such as big data, issues such as artificial intelligence, issues such as robotics, and could assist in terms of improving the way in which they were doing their work. In other words, while they have this awareness of how beneficial technological skills are, they couldn't figure out how they can use the same to improve the way in which they are doing their work. But those were not the only deficiencies that the study picked up. There were issues such as cognitive skills, ethical competencies, and when we talk about ethical competencies, Bridget, I think we would all appreciate what came out of the institutions such as the Zondo Commission in terms of how some of the public servants who went before that commission were found to be highly unethical in terms of how they conducted themselves in the administration of the state. There are other aspects that also came out. For example, basic human skills were found to be also something that is not really coming out in terms of the skills that our public servants have. So those were some of the deficiencies that I can quickly talk about. Yes.
As we continue the conversation with Prof, wondering from your perspective as you listen to the conversation, what has been your experience with public servants in the various departments that we interact with? We'd love to hear from you on 086 000 2032. And of course, you can always WhatsApp us as well on 061 410 4107 is the number that you can call us on. Your experience with civil servants in all of the varying departments that you perhaps interact with for your needs as an ordinary citizen, what has that been like? And do you think that, what the Prof is saying about some of the deficiencies there, the lack of proficiency and the lack of them, of public servants in particular in some sectors, actually developing the necessary skills that are needed for the future really do exist, and you see it in practice every single day, that perhaps they're not adequately skilled for the kind of service or work that they are providing to us, the normal public, and that there could be areas where those could be tightened up. 086 000 2032 is our number in studio, and of course 061 410 4107 is our WhatsApp line. If you want to drop through a WhatsApp voice note, you are more than welcome to do so. Given these deficiencies, Prof, perhaps then we need to talk about the work that government and the various seaters need to do in order to further develop public sector workers.
I think the first thing, Bridget, that needs to be to be said is that the work that we did through this research is quite important in that it gives an opportunity, given the findings, for all training institutions that work with public servants, not only training institutions that are training current public servants, but also those institutions in the post-secondary schooling system that produce public servants to, look at the content of their curricula. Because we cannot run away from the fact that these public servants are coming from our different institutions of higher learning, and therefore this report is talking directly to what those institutions of higher learning are teaching students who are doing public administration and those that will end up finding their way into the public sector. But equally, there are institutions such as the National School of Government and other training institutions that train public servants. They must also look at what has come out of this study and begin to see how they can, reshape their curricula.
Yeah. Prof, for us to pause right there for a second as we take the headline news, and then we'll come back on the other side of this. It's just gone 1:30 on the Full Circle with myself, Bridget Masinga.
Thank you, Bridget. On the news headlines, Human Settlements Minister Thembi Simelane says the construction company in the George building collapse misrepresented its capabilities and failed to declare its intention to construct a multi-story building. President Cyril Ramaphosa has highlighted the urgent need to address the exploitation of women for sexual favors in workplaces. His remarks come as pressure mounts on the government to declare gender-based violence and femicide a national disaster. And a 13-year-old grade 8 learner has been arrested after he allegedly stabbed a teacher at Hoërskool Die Burger in Randburg, north of Johannesburg. The teacher was allegedly stabbed in the arm and is receiving medical attention. A full update follows at the top of the hour.
Do great solutions start with good conversation? SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. Bridget Masinga, weekdays on the Full Circle.
What has been your experience with civil servants in the various departments that you've engaged with? Just, as you seek basic services as a citizen. I'd love to know from you. 086 000 2032 and 061 410 4107. Is the number that you can call us on. If you want to call us in studio, you're more than welcome to do so. The producers are standing by, or you can send us a WhatsApp or voice note, a minute and a half, sharing your sentiment and your experiences with civil servants in the various departments. We are in conversation with Prof. Ricky Mukonza, who's an associate professor at Tshwane University, and of course they teamed up with the Public Service Sector Education and Training Authority, PSETA, to undertake a study just looking at South Africa's civil servants and what perhaps they are missing by way of development skills, especially when it comes to technology. Let's talk about that a little bit as well, Professor. When it comes to technology, how ready, how proficient are our public service, civil servant rather, workers to engage with new technologies and to incorporate new technologies? I mean, we keep talking about 4IR, but are they adequately trained and skilled to adapt?
I think, Bridget, to answer that question, the public service is a mixed group of people. You have those that are young, who some of whom are just entering the public service. Others would use the term AMA 2000. Those are, I think, amenable to the changes that are taking place in the technology world, and I think they easily adapt, and they have a huge chance of moving with the times and adapting the technologies that are coming up to be able to offer the public goods and services in an optimal way. But we also have your older generation. I think the general sentiment that we got from the interviewees seem to suggest that the older generation seem to struggle when it comes to adapting to the new and emerging technologies that characterize the fourth industrial revolution. So that's what how I can respond to your question concerning how adaptable the public servants are to the technologies that we have in.
So we know that, technology skills, for instance, help improve a state's efficacy, right? But do they also make up for the administrative inadequacies, perhaps, and the shortfalls that states and those who work in civil sectors face?
Thank you for asking that question because it is a question that we also grappled with in the study. Whilst we talk about technology as part, the technology skills as part of what today and future public servants need, but it also emerged that there were other skills that are quite critical that technology cannot really replace. For example, simple skills such as respecting fundamental human values, character issues, simple issues such as respect, care, human dignity, compassion, the spirit of altruism. Including what you have just mentioned, the issue of some administrative inefficiencies that are as a result of the human factor in the administration of the state. So what I may say in summing up is that while these technology skills are a necessary condition to improve the efficiency of public service, they are not a sufficient condition, which means that you need much more than just technology skills.
Prof. Ricky Mukunza, thank you so much for the time. And Prof is the Associate Professor at the Tshwane University of Technology, running us through that study that they've partnered with PCETA on. It's fast approaching 2 o'clock. We are going to keep this train running. Our lines are open on 061-410-4107. That's our WhatsApp, and 086-000-2032 is the number that you can call us on. We're asking the question, have you started having money conversations with your children? And perhaps what are some of the habits that you are teaching them, or even maybe some of the habits that you are trying to ensure that you break that generational cycle? Maybe you picked up some bad habits from your parents or observing your parents around money and finances, and now you're trying to just consciously be aware not to pass those on to your children. Would love to hear from you on that conversation. You can send us a voice note on 086-000-2032. Have you started having money conversations with your children? And we'll keep revisiting this theme as well, because it's important, right? We talk about financial literacy being one of the problems that we find ourselves in as South Africans, our inability to, even do simple things like budgeting and understanding money. And so how do we make money work for us and work to our advantage? And it starts really with breaking those generational curses and ensuring that the next generation has a better footing, a better start to this. So send through your voice notes on 086-000-2032. Let's take a quick pause. We'll be right back.
Whether it is a CCMA referral, problems with a mechanic, or unfair blacklisting, Clientele legal plans are affordable, and you receive up to 670,000 rands worth of legal services per year. We cover civil, criminal, and labor-related matters. Our legal team will be your support 24 hours a day. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and a licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
April is Freedom Month, a month to reflect, celebrate, and move forward. SAFM is bringing you powerful stories, insightful debates, and voices that shape our nation. Stay tuned to SAFM, where freedom, history, and the future meet. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. Stages, pages, screens, and more on The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga.
Yes, let's get into some artistic conversation, shall we? Introducing Miriam Altman, a new voice in jazz with the debut single The Train. And Miriam is actually one of SA's most highly respected economists, a TED Talk speaker and a change maker, now also adding a jazz artist to the many slashes. I love a person with a bit of a B-side. I firmly believe that everybody has a B-side. How are you doing, Miriam?
I love that B-side. Hi, Bridget.
You prof. No, I firmly believe it. Everybody has an A and a B-side. I mean, you go from being a Professor Miriam Altman, respected economist, you know, crunching numbers and predicting our futures every single day. And now adding, or not even adding, but really unveiling the artistic side of you as a jazz artist. Why now? Why decide, you know what, actually, let me also tap into this side. Let me showcase this other creative side of me.
Yeah, so the first thing I should say is that I think of everything that I do as creative. You know, I've started NGOs, I've started initiatives, and I treat everything I do as creative. Having said that, you know, in my youth, I was trained as a classical singer. I was in opera, actually, until I was 21, and I was a soprano coloratura, and I quit completely. And it's been pulling at me all these years, and I came to a point in my life where I'm still very deeply involved in the development work that I do and the economics and strategy work, but this thing has been pulling at me. You know, music just, maybe it's not true for everybody, but for me it's something so important, and I was almost afraid of doing it. And I came to a point of saying I can't be afraid anymore, and I threw myself back in, but in jazz. This time, yeah.
The fear, where did the fear come from? I mean, I don't want to guess, so let me just rather ask you.
Well, look, anyone who knows me knows I'm committed to excellence, and I'm a bit of a perfectionist.
Yeah.
And but you know, music is so personal, and it's so important to me. Maybe there's a fear of failure. Maybe you come to a point where you think maybe it's too late for me. And I just thought, you know what, I'm going to see. I'm going to pull my rusty instrument out. I'm going to see what's in there. It is different. My voice is lower. I've been training as if I'm doing Ironman now. So I have coaches. I've got a professor at University of Victoria who trains me. They drive me the way that I drive students that I have.
Well, for you, what would you say it is about the music? I mean, I read somewhere that you said for you, music is not just the reflection of your musical evolution, but a testament to life lived fully.
Yeah, so I build every part of my experience. So one can say what I do in my economics work is different, but actually, you know, it comes from the various continents that I've lived in. I'm taking a fairly multicultural approach to the music in a world that sort of says, like a kind of, I don't know if it's woke or cancel culture that says, like if you're an actor, you shouldn't, and you're not gay, you shouldn't be a gay person in a play type of thing. And I think you should be able to mix language. You should be mixing cultures. My work involves convening people, and that's what you do in music. I don't know how to play the piano, but I'll work with someone and to bring a vision together. So I use a lot of these skills, actually.
Absolutely.
That makes sense.
No, it makes perfect sense. And looking at sort of just, how I know people hate the word eclectic, how eclectic and complex the music is for you. Where would one say you've drawn some of the inspiration over the years, or some of even the influences that sort of came out in studio when you were putting together the project?
Oh, well, I was actually an activist in the late 80s in South Africa. So when I'm speaking about looking at Yvonne Chaka Chaka, Stimela, I was listening to Ray Peary, the band Stimela, Yvonne Chaka Chaka, Brenda Fassie, Kaifa Semenya, Train Chaong. I was listening to that music at the time when it was being put out. So this is the part of my being. As is, I'm not purist. As is Bobby McFerrin, Cassandra Wilson, Robert Glasper, Ornette Coleman, Esperanza Spalding, and even her inspired the song. The bass player. Because I love bass and voice. I was listening to Abel Salwatwe, who's an incredible South African cellist, classical cellist, who's infusing Xhosa voice, throat singing into classical music in London. So, and eclectic isn't quite the word. It's quite intentional, actually, how the music's being put together. But I'm drawing on different sources, and I'm not being purist. With a particular genre is more the thing.
Would you say that also perhaps your approach really speaks to the genesis of jazz? Because as much as there's those who say, the purists, oh my goodness, jazz must sound a particular way and be constructed in a particular way. But when you trace back the history and the genesis of jazz, it really is the foundation and basis of all music coming together in a very beautiful instrumental way.
Right. So the first thing is that, like, if there's an essence, it's that I see voice as an instrument. So I'm really thinking about harmony with the sax is doing this, and so my voice is going to do that. I'm using my voice literally as an instrument. Secondly, the use of improvisation. Thirdly, that's why Cassandra Wilson for me is so inspiring. Is that's what she did. She started in a fairly mainstream jazz lane and then brought it home to the Mississippi, And then Esperanza Spalding, I love voice and bass, as I said. So Esperanza Spalding is incredible. So people will say, well, that's not bebop. But who cares? She'll say, what is improvisation? I'll make whatever sound. If you listen to Bobby McFerrin, he sounds like he's speaking a language, when he plays with Richard Bona. I hope some of these references mean something. He sounds like he's singing in another language, and he's speaking, he's communicating, but it's pure. It doesn't have to be, if I didn't have to use words, I wouldn't.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it definitely sounds like an inspiring project or inspired project, and I'm sure it's going to add much excitement to the genre of jazz. Looking forward to the debut. Well, the debut single has been out, in fact, because you released it a few days ago. Towards the end of March, Train, so it's already out. The artwork actually looks quite dope. And then when can folks anticipate the full project? Are you going to release a full project, or do jazz artists even do EPs?
No, definitely. Having said that, I'm an independent artist. By design, it gives me creative control, which is incredible. I'm working with incredible musicians. I'm also on a learning journey, by the way. So I'm training heavily while I'm doing the music, so that I can grow. We're going to be putting out, I'm working on a 7-song album, so definitely an album.
Okay.
Releasing song by song. Next one should be coming out first week of June. So I'll be putting out song by song. I'm really leaning into the creative process.
Wonderful.
So I'm going to take my time because I can.
Yes.
And so that's what we're aiming for. And just to say, so the song's called The Train, and it's available on all streaming platforms. So Spotify, Apple, Deezer, YouTube. My Instagram, Mary Maltman Music, is where I load everything and make people aware of everything. And I hope people enjoy and come along with me on the journey.
Wonderful. Sounds like an exciting one indeed. That was Prophet Miriam Altman, and of course, Miriam Altman Music on social media, adding yet another slashy behind her many slashies. Now also a jazz artist. The train is out wherever you go to download and buy your good music is where you can find it. It's fast approaching 10 to. We're going to take a quick pause and then we come back on the other side of this and we talk financial literacy.
When your business expands, it's time to look for the kind of space that'll offer it more than square meters on a plan. At Dube Tradeport, we're a place for high-value manufacturing, efficient air cargo logistics, and advanced future farming technology. Doesn't that sound like a place where your business can take shape? If so, move your business to Dube Tradeport and grow beyond potential.
April is Freedom Month, a month to reflect, celebrate, and move forward. SAFM is bringing you powerful stories, insightful debates, and voices that shape our nation. Stay tuned to SAFM, where freedom, history, and the future meet. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. The Morning Brief with Thulasizwe Simelane.
When they took over this country from the National Party, unemployment was sitting at 15%. Imagine if there were no economic sanctions. Unemployment would be around 6%.
But there was unemployment measured within which segment of the population, Mandla? Because remember, it was segmented and fragmented, and there were portions of the population that were deliberately left out of the economy. Deliberately.
Thulasizwe, you must stop being the spokesperson of these tags, ANC tags.
I could never be.
Unemployment now.
I could never be.
Unemployment.
Mandla, I'm engaging you. I could never be the spokesperson of these people.
You don't engage these ANC tags. You don't engage them.
Mandla.
Yes.
Unless you want to speak and then I don't engage you, none of us benefits when that happens.
This is Thulasizwe Simelane on the Morning Brief. Living your best life on the Full Circle.
That is exactly what we try to do, live our best lives on the Full Circle. And we're talking financial literacy. We're talking financial literacy with Lerato Jatla, who's a money values facilitator at Heartlines. Have you started having the conversation around money with your children? I wonder how's that going, if you have started or why you haven't started, if you haven't started. How are you doing, Lerato?
And yourself?
I'm good. Thank you. Cannot complain. So, I mean, financial literacy, I think, is or lack thereof, is an ongoing opener for this conversation every single time. More than half of South Africa's youth lack the knowledge to build a stable financial future. It's always sort of a dismal open to the conversation.
Yeah, it is. And most of us, because we're not introduced to this topic early, it just becomes taboo to talk about it. You just don't feel comfortable or equipped enough to want to talk about it. So we just feel, let's rather not talk about it. I mean, when you start talking, even when you're about to ask, how much did it cost you to buy that? That's taboo because it's something that we were never introduced to early. So the earlier we start talking about this money issues, the better we become with our money and the more conscious we become with how we spend and save and even budget our money.
Can we sort of, or is it an overemphasis rather? Is it an overemphasis when we keep saying that parents play a crucial role in shaping their children's financial futures and habits?
Not at all. Like, we actually should be emphasizing this a lot more than we are doing, because it's the first phase that kids learn are at home. And so even if you are not having a conversation about money, your children are watching and they are learning. So if you are not intentional about it, what is it that you are teaching to your children when it comes to money? Because your kids are watching how you are spending. If you're an impulsive spender, they are watching that and they will replicate that in their financial life as they grow older. So not being intentional about talking about money with your kids becomes a problem later on. So we do need to really emphasize this because it's very important.
How do we go about instilling those smart money values, especially early on? I had another financial advisor on the show in the last quarter of 2024, and they said that at almost every stage, from as young as 3, you could start instilling some kind of money values to your kids.
Absolutely. As soon as your child understands the concept of buying, when you give them 50 cents and they know that this is money and it can buy, this is as early as you can start talking to them about money. So, and there are different activities that you can do with them at different age groups. So at around 3 years old, you can start playing games about buying groceries, maybe with paper money, making them understand that things, cost money. And then when they get to a maybe elementary age, you can then start talking about basic understanding of what a budget is. When they get their pocket money, they need to budget for it. They need to be able to reach what they wanted to reach. And then you can also start talking about the understanding of what bank accounts are, what saving is, what is investment. So these are some of the things that you can do. You can actually even be practical and have piggy banks with them and have piggy banks and put money together with them, help them to save for what they desire to have probably sometime later in the year.
Yeah.
That would encourage them to see the possibility about saving.
Do you think, Lerato, that part of maybe the struggle that parents face is the fact that they themselves didn't learn smart money lessons and they themselves are struggling with concepts around money and financial literacy, and so it becomes difficult to then teach your children about money?
This is the crux of it. Most of us have not learned, we have not had this conversation with our parents. We don't know about it. We learn as we go. We make mistakes and fall as we go. And then we don't know how to pass on. But the truth is, while we learn, while we see the opportunity of being financially literate, this is also an opportunity for us to take our children on the same journey with us. It's okay to sit down with your kids and tell them that actually I never learned how to do a budget. Let's learn together. Let's learn together how to do a budget. Learn to walk with them, take small steps with them. And then, as you go together, you will grow into this financial literacy and become better in the future with your money.
If you could give a word of advice to parents out there, around overcoming poor money habits?
One of the things that's very important when it comes to money habits is your values. Your values are very important when it comes to money because your values guide your priorities. So what you value is you value responsibility, and your value is responsibility. You will become responsible even in how you are using your money. So you need to be able to instill that into your kids. Instill good values so that these good values can be able to guide your children when it comes to how they use their money, and even yourself, how you use your money. So you need to prioritize values and actually just live them out in holistically in your life, including in your money.
Let's go to WhatsApp quickly. Our WhatsApp lines are open if you want to share. Have you started having a conversation with your children around money? 061-410-4107 is our WhatsApp line.
Good afternoon, House Bridget. It's Fred the Trucker here in Western Cape. House Bridget, as much as I want my money to work for me, I am actually working for the money. And whatever I've been doing to my parents, asking them for money all these years, my own children are doing the same. And they want to spend the money. And shout out, House Bridget, to the young boys who are heading to Cape Town with their bicycles. The last time I saw them, they were in Hanover. I think now they are heading to Beaufort West. Shout out to those boys.
Freddie, the truck driver there in the Western Cape. Freddie, why in the back of my mind I always thought that your routes are between Durban, Mpumalanga, Limpopo, but okay, you find yourself in the Western Cape now. And the thing is, you know, kids will always be kids. Kids will always ask for money. Kids will always go to the parents to seek money, because if you haven't instilled money values in them, or they don't see how you engage money in a responsible way, perhaps they just think money falls from a tree.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. And one of the things that we can help them do is that when we give them allowances, we need to also hold them accountable. We must have like a plan. Just hold them accountable. I gave you this much. What did you do with it? Help them to have a budget. Even however small amount it is, they need to have a budget so that they can be able to actually show themselves, to see themselves what they've used that money for. This is going to help them to be more conscious, even for the next time when they get their money, they know what they've used the money for. But also, another thing that I want to encourage people on is to have a budget on your day-to-day things. Sit down with your children and have a budget with them on groceries and even buying their own clothes, just the simple day-to-day things that they can see, and it's right there in front of them. This will also help them to be more cautious when it comes to money.
Absolutely. Lerato Chakla, thank you so much for the time. Lerato is a money values facilitator. 2 o'clock on the dot exactly. It's time for us to catch up with the top of the hour news.
Thank you, Bridget. Top stories. George building collapse report identifies construction irregularities, and grade 8 learner arrested for stabbing a teacher. For SAFM News, I am Onde Lambana, and a very good day. The probe into the George building collapse in the Western Cape in 2024 has identified a number of breaches and serious irregularities that compromised prescribed safety construction measures. The collapse led to the deaths of 34 people, mostly construction workers who were on site. Human Settlements Minister Thembi Simelane says site inspections and building plans approvals were not adhered to, and this resulted in safety violations.
In relation to home builder certification and the home builder grading process, the investigation into this process revealed significant irregularities in their registration process. The company in question inaccurately presented its capabilities during the registration phase. Amongst other things, it failed to declare its intention to construct a multi-story building. This omission, by its very nature, breached the NHBR policies, which require transparency regarding a home builder intended project scope.
Simelane says police have also been roped in to assist with further investigations.
I must add also that there are charges which were referred further for SAPS investigation in areas where, as NHBRC, we do not carry a mandate to go beyond. And the construction company has been referred as well to SAPS for investigation. So based on the outcome of the investigation, NHBRC has since suspended the officials who have been mentioned in the report to enable more investigation into the matter.
President Cyril Ramaphosa has highlighted the urgent need to address the exploitation of women for sexual favors in workplaces. His remarks come as pressure mounts on the government to declare gender-based violence and femicide a national disaster. Recently, there have been demonstrations urging law enforcement to prioritize cases of violence against women and children. Women leaders are convening at the 17th Biennial Conference on the International Association of Women Judges in Cape Town to address global issues related to GBV and femicide. Ramaphosa says such matters should be dealt with.
When I see my male counterparts using extortion against women, and particularly young women, in the workplace, and expecting them to give them favors so that they can rise up the ladder. This is something that needs to be talked about. Light needs to be shed on this. There's nothing as demeaning as a man who is in a senior position requiring and demanding sex from a younger subordinate so that they may rise, so that they may get better pay.
A 13-year-old grade 8 learner has been arrested after he allegedly stabbed a teacher at Hoërskool De Burger in Randburg, north of Johannesburg. The teacher was allegedly stabbed in the arm and is receiving medical attention. The circumstances surrounding the incident are not known at this stage. Gauteng police say the minor will be processed through the Child Justice Act procedure. Germany's centre's left and centre-right political parties have said they will announce the formation of a coalition government later today. The Conservative Christian Democrats and the Social Democrats have been in talks since the general election in February. The BBC's Paul Moss has more details.
Perhaps they'd have reached a deal anyway, but Donald Trump's tariffs have provoked real fear in Germany with its export-orientated economy, and this was clearly no time for the country to be without a leader. The Christian Democrats and Social Democrats do have their differences over welfare reform, employers' rights and, above all, immigration. But pressure to sort these out seems to have succeeded. Their coalition agreement will still have to be approved by party members, but once again, pressure to get a government in place in Germany is likely to deter any potential doubters.
Recapping the top story, the probe into the George building collapse in the Western Cape in 2024 has identified a number of breaches and serious irregularities that compromised prescribed safety construction measures. I am Ondilambana for SFM News headlines at 2:30.
Can you hear that? It's the pitter-patter letting you know your roof is leaking. Terrible timing. The sound you were hoping for is the splish-splash of the beach holiday you've been saving up for. But don't let cash flow hold you back. Do both. Apply for a Nedbank personal loan and get our best interest rate with a loan of up to 400,000 Rand. Apply online at nedbank.co.za. See money differently. Nedbank. We're a licensed FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
EFC is live this Thursday. From the wilds of Reunion Island and the ancient lands of Zimbabwe, two raging bulls meet for a heavyweight title clash as Elvis Moyo takes on Anthony Morrell. Plus, Fahiz Jacobs and Sibusiso Sovendile fight for bantamweight gold. EFC 122, live from the World Sports Betting Arena. Watch it on SABC Sport Channel on DTT Channel 4 from 7 p.m. Brought to you by SABC Sport.
Here, there, and everywhere. SAFM 105 FM in Mokopane.
The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga, Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
Listen for the train. It's driving promises back to life, transporting our hopes from the past to the present. Ripe with opportunities so near, it feels like it's almost in hand. But these distances are so far, they don't make any sense. I think maybe this train is running late. I start to panic. Stimela, yeza, ugupi, tina sija hile. Stimela, how we gonna get? Tina sija hile. Stimela, how we gonna get where we need to go? Stimela, how we gonna get? Tina sija hile. Stimela.
Get ready for a real conversation. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. April is Freedom Month, a month to reflect, celebrate, and move forward. SAFM is bringing you powerful stories, insightful debates, and voices that shape our nation. Stay tuned to SAFM, where freedom, history, and the future meet. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga, Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
All right, so we got just a little bit of a snippet of Prof. Miriam Altman's new project. The Train is the title of that particular single, and it's her introductory single into the world of jazz. If you want to find more, hear more, you can always download it from wherever you get your music downloads. Right now, though, we're going to have a conversation around parenting. It's Wednesday, so on Wednesdays we look at relationships, we look at parenting. And today we're looking at parenting and how involved are you in your child's schooling? Are you one of those parents that are part of the SGB, the school governing body? Do you attend all the relative meetings for the SGB? And do you also go to all the school activities? Do you know all of your child's teachers? And, do you know all of their social settings and circles in school? You'd be surprised how many parents actually don't know, because kids have double lives, especially the older they get. You'd be surprised how many parents actually don't know who their kids hang out with in school. Or maybe they know who their kids hang out with in school, but they don't know who their kids hang out with on the weekend. They just drop them in the mall and, they'll be like, okay, I'll pick you up at 6 o'clock outside entrance 6, without really knowing who they're meeting at the mall and what's going on. So we thought we'd have this conversation. How involved are you in your child's schooling? Are you an active parent? And we're not judging. We listen. We don't judge on the show, because we also understand that life and work gets in the way. And sometimes you're well-intentioned to be an active parent, particularly when it comes to school and school social activities and sporting activities, but you just actually don't have the time. It's the realities of South Africa. You just don't have the time. You could be a single parent, or mom and dad both in the house, but both working extremely long hours, at times even working 2 jobs, 3 jobs, trying to make the bills work. So you don't have the time. We thought we'd catch up with Coach Kathy, who is a parent of 3 and a life coach and a neuro-linguistic practitioner and social commentator. And we're having this conversation with Coach Kathy. How are you doing this afternoon?
I'm good, and you, Bridget, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Cannot complain. It is back to school, and we're already seeing sort of all the stories about schools turning children back, facilities not being ready when kids come back, just all the issues that surround schooling and school environments. And some of these issues just actually also speak to how involved parents are in their children's school journey. Because if you're involved, you're well aware of what's going on the ground, and you might even have all the respective answers.
No, thank you, Bridget, for having me. To be honest, you are so right, because some of us grew up in the era when school was closing. We had to clean the windows and clean the classrooms and make sure that the place is looking good before we even left, And sometimes there was members of the community that were involved to make sure that, with the cutting of the grass, making sure that the school looks good. It is one of those things that has that used to happen in my era. But we are very fortunate that in this day we've got the school governing body. And those are the questions that should be going to the school governing body, that how in this day and age, when you've got a body that is legalized by the government to say that you are the governance of the school, you are the ones that are responsible for the infrastructure of the school, Everything else, the SMT, which is the school management team, is in charge of making sure that education is taking place, there's books, there's all of that. But when it comes to the governance of the school, it is the responsibility of the parents. And that's why we've got a school governing body, which are the ones to say, oh, there is a roof leaking. We need to make sure that it's taken care of. Or our toilets are not in good order and all of that. And that's where it comes in as a parent to say, what is it that you do? Do you just send your child to school and hope that everything will be well? Or are you that parent who, whenever there's school governing body elections, you go to meetings, to say that I'm availing myself, I'm availing my time. I want to know what is going on and I want to be part of the decision making. So there is an opportunity for parents to be involved. It's up to us whether we want to grab it or are we still going to sit back and blame the government for everything that is happening around us.
Absolutely. Because, we allude to certain school issues. For instance, we've seen this morning, we're waking up to the scholars' transport that has not been paid for in the Mpumalanga province, and it's wet, it's raining, students are having to walk to school, and you would think that these are the kinds of issues that would be ventilated at an SGB meeting well ahead of time by all the various stakeholders to say, we are having a problem with A, B, C, and D that's not, being maintained or deadlines not being met. And so we're going to encounter a problem come the second term of school. Parents will be well aware of it, will be active in the conversation and trying to find solutions.
You are right, Bridget, because that's what happens. I think I'm very fortunate that besides in my professional space being a life coach, dealing with teenagers and young adults, that I have been a chairperson of the school governing body for a good 7 years. And that was in primary school level. And then I was a deputy chairperson of the school governing body when it comes to high school level. So those are the kind of things that are discussed when we go to school governing body meetings, and those happens every 2 months, where we even involve the student body as well to say, give to us what is going on, what are the things that you are identifying on the ground level that we need to attend to. So you are right by saying the school governing body should have been able to pick up those things long time ago to say that we are having problems. Because that was that are handling the finances of the school. The finances of the school is not being handled by FNC. The school governing body knows that the finance committee know exactly where our finances are standing. We know exactly where there is shortage and everything. And we know exactly how much the government has put in to say that this is going on. And the chairperson of the finance committee, together with the principal, those are the people that are responsible to make sure that money is allocated correctly, but with the approval of the members of the school governing body. So we shouldn't be seeing things like this and we want to blame the government. We need to start taking responsibility and accountability as parents to say, what kind of education do we want our kids to have? What kind of environment do you want to create? You've got parents that are not working, that are at home, that their kids go to school for free. What kind of services can you give? What are you good at to make sure that the environment is conducive for your child? And the minute the child sees that their parent is involved, they are bound to excel at school because they see that you pride yourself in making sure that their education is okay.
We'd love to hear your views on this. If you are a parent or a guardian of a school going child, let us know. 061-410-4107 is our WhatsApp line. And of course, 086-000-2032 is the number that you can call us on. My producers are standing by and they'll call you right back. How involved are you in your child's schooling? Are you a very active parent? And this is not a race thing, right, Coach Kathy? Because I say this just thinking, I know that there are some schools, private and former Model C, I don't know what they now identify as, that even
when go onto quintal 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever it is.
Whatever it is, when you apply for your child to join the school, when you make that application, some schools lay down the law in saying, well, yeah, we see the child's academic record and the child's motivation, and the child is a great candidate of the school. But you, as mom, dad, and guardian, how committed are you to actively being part of school community? And they take it very seriously. And I've known parents who've had to literally prove before their kids have even stepped foot into the school that you will be as active and as dedicated as a parent as we demand of your children, whether you're in the SGB or not in the SGB, but you must just be participating as a parent.
You know, it goes as far as at the beginning of the year, they call a parent association. It's got nothing to do with the school governing body.
Yeah.
So there is parent association that calls a meeting to all the new parents and say, come, we are having a meeting. This is what we offer at the school. Where can you get involved? So it is something like that to say that if we are going to build kids that are giving, kids that are kind, kids that know that we need to help, the charity needs to start at home. And that means you as mom and dad, you should be the one, an example to say that, you know what, today there is a marathon that is happening. I will be supporting at this time. And it goes as far as they do, we are on a WhatsApp group. And whenever there's an event, you have to choose a slot. What time are you going to serve coffee? I'm on the slot A, B, C, D from 10 to whatever. So each and every parent get involved. And it goes as far as we make even sandwiches. They will tell you that great so-and-so is making sandwiches for the underprivileged. So it is something that we would learn that the school is not only about SMT, it is not about the government, but it is a community. That's why they call it a stakeholder. All of us are involved, the kids, the parents, the community around us, the teachers, and the government. And if we do all these things together, I'm telling you for free, Bridget, we'll not be having problems like this where transport has not been paid for, where kids are still falling into pit toilets, where classrooms are still dirty. When the school opens, you know, because now it will be a community thing where people are saying, let's divide ourselves. It goes as far as to say, this week it's people that will be so and so. And if you do it once a year or twice a year, it is not too much. It doesn't take too much of your time. I understand that parents can say, I work, I do, but you get off. On your day off, have you ever offered to say, what is going on? Can I come and help? Can I come and do that? It's just 2 hours of your time for a fundraising event. It is not taking you all day. And so you can imagine being on the school governing body, it doesn't mean that you're at the school every day. You go to the meetings every 2 months. If you're on the finance committee, you go to the meeting once a month. You know, it's not things that take so much out of your time, but if we can start getting involved and become a community and take care of the infrastructure and the property that is making sure that our kids become better human beings, we shouldn't have problems.
Yeah, and I think that's why I even precursed it by saying it's not a race-based thing, because people go, it's these private schools and these former Model C schools. And to your example that, you know, I grew up, my mom, her mother's generation were very involved in you know, in former apartheid schools in the location. They were there. They were very involved, very much part of the schooling community, very conscientized and aware of everything that was going on and the challenges that the school had, because it also spoke by and large to, as you say, the school's connection to community. And the school mirroring communities' ambitions, aspirations, as well as challenges and burdens. The two cannot be separated from each other. We're going to take a quick break and then we'll come back on the other side and continue our conversation.
The Bavarians want to display quality play to emphasize why they are called FC Hollywood. But BVB is courageous to cement a decent spot in the top half.
It's all or nothing. This is the Bundesliga. Football as it's meant to be.
Catch one of the world's greatest football derbies.
The Klassiker.
FC Bayern München versus Borussia Dortmund. This Saturday, 12 April at 6:30 p.m. Streaming live on SABC Plus and SABC Sport on TTT Channel 4. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
If we have rights, shouldn't we also have opinions? SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
We are in conversation with Coach Kathy Pirima, who's a parent herself and a life coach, and we are talking around, amongst other things, a neuro-linguistic practitioner as well, and we're talking around how involved are you in your child's schooling. I mean, I'd love to know from you. So if you are in a position to send us a WhatsApp, 086 000 2032, to let us know how involved are you. We listen here on the show. We don't judge. So if you aren't very involved, you can also say that. You can state the reasons why you aren't very active. But to your point, Kathy, around that, when a parent gets involved in a child's journey, it just takes your relationship with your child to the next level. Because I think it says something to your children. It indicates something to your children about how much care and consideration you have and how much you value their future.
That is so true. I think I've seen it with all three of my kids. I think I'm fortunate now. I'm a mom to tertiary students. And I have seen it when it comes to their results, how they pride themselves. One of them will walk in and say, if I am about to behave in a certain manner, one of the teachers will say, I've got your mom on speed dial. But it makes them realize that I hold a certain responsibility and I'm supposed to behave in a certain manner because my mom is in a position of leadership and my mom cares about school. So my reputation is very important. And the kids get to the place where they get involved themselves when it comes to school activities, because you find that your kids end up being on the counselors, they become part of the media team, they become part of that because they've realized that we cannot sit back and allow other people to make decisions for us.
Yeah.
If we want things to happen, we need to be involved and make decisions. So it makes life easier for your kids in terms of when they become adults as well and in terms of when they make decisions, because I always tell my kids that, listen, with leadership comes responsibility and accountability, and you must know that you are there to serve people. And once they see servanthood in you, it becomes very easy for them to serve, and I think it's a lifelong lesson. They become better adults. So being involved there, I don't want to tell you that the results are good, the performance is amazing, because they don't want to disappoint you, because you show them that I can put time aside to be there for you.
And as you say, sort of that presence supports the learning process in ways that maybe cannot be articulated. I don't know what it is. You'll talk to parents who've been parenting for a number of years, and some of them will go, I feel like my time is not adequate. I don't want to just pop in there for 15 minutes versus being at at athletics the whole day. And I always go, do you know how much value that 15 minutes is to your child?
You are so right, Bridget.
They understand that your schedule is blocked, but the fact that you could come out of what you were doing, dash to school just to be there for that one lap, that 30 minutes of you being at the fried fish stand for 30 minutes, and then you leave. Oh, it makes a world of a difference.
It means a lot. I remember one time that, I always say I'm a student. I learn every day. I would watch how my white colleagues, whenever their kids are having activities, sports and everything, they would rather come to work very early and push and say, I'm going to leave early because my son has got swimming, my son has got... And I learned that actually this is possible. So when my kids were involved in activities that I knew is going to start in the afternoon, I will go in very early at work to do whatever that needs to be done. And I'll speak to my manager to say that, listen, around 1, I'm going to leave the office because my daughter has got a netball tournament. My son has got this, has got that. Just for them. And what parents do not realize, the kids, they actually look around. It's like they are looking, is anybody from my family here? And the minute your child sees you, they smile on their face and they will leave. And that gives them courage to say, you know what, my mom is here, my dad is here, my aunt is here. I need to give it my everything. For us, we'll even go as a family, meaning that the brothers and the sisters and everybody will go and support. They even bring their friends because we realize that this is a community thing, and you participating in something, and your mother has taken that half a day, which is not every day, to make sure that to say you matter, you are important to me, and I will put time aside to make sure that I support your goals.
Absolutely. I used to run the fried chips machine for my sister's Drummies team. We were the fried chips family every Saturday at Drummies. Let's go to WhatsApp. We have a message here that says the principal of the school have the last say. The governing bodies are not in charge. I'm on the SGB. The principal have the last say. I mean, I guess all things are debatable. Also depends how strong maybe is your SGB in articulating and advocating for their needs and how that power is shared, as long as you are on the SGB. Let's hear what else is on our listeners' minds.
Hi, Bridget. I've just joined driving now, and I put on the radio and I heard you talking and asking this question. I am a father of two. My eldest is in grade 2. And guess who does homework? It's me. And guess who reads the bedtime story? It's me. My son is 5 years old, he's pre-grade R. He also wants my attention, so I'm very much involved, and I'm proud to say that, because in the past it used to be mothers who are involved doing the homeworks and the fathers just being somewhere, and it's a very nice feeling. It's a good feeling to be involved in one's children's education. You know, I serve on the school governing body at the school as well. I make in the morning, I'm the one that pack the lunch box, you know, and then when they're hungry, they say, Mom, they say, Dad, where's the lunch box? Why didn't you pack this and this on the lunch box? And I feel very proud, you know, that I'm a very active father. And yeah, I can encourage all these other fathers to be involved and not leave everything to the mothers, you know. This is now the new millennium. Fathers also have to be involved. I mean, I was involved with my kids, bathing them, you know. Whenever there's appointments need to be made with the pediatrician, I will do that. I will go with the mothers to visit the doctors, you know. So we need to be proud of that as proud dads and be involved. Have a nice day. Thanks for the nice show.
How do we multiply you? How do we multiply you?
We need more of him. We need more of him.
We need more of him. We appreciate dads that provide, dads that keep the roof up and keep the fridge stocked. You know, we get those sacrifices, but we also need dads that tap into the softer side of parenting, that tap into the side of let me be present in whatever form.
Oh man, that was so sweet. I think honestly, and I'm happy when I hear Dad saying that, you know what, I'm very busy as well, but my kids are very important to me. I make time, and it doesn't feel like it's work for him. It's like I'm a father, and that's what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to be present. Not only, I always tell people that your kids don't need your presence; they need your presence. Because you can buy them anything. But whenever you have conversations, especially when I sit down with young people, you know, when we go into the coaching sessions and everything, then I ask them, what is it? Said, I wish my father could have been there just to come watch me play soccer. I wish they could have just, I understand that they provide for us. But knowing that my dad is there and telling me that he's proud of me, you know, it's something that will push me. So we must never underestimate the importance of being there at those school events, the importance of being part of the school governing body, the importance of being part of the parent association, the importance of just saying to the school, I've got services of cutting lawns. Can I do it for you? I've got services of doing this. You know, just give whatever that you've got. You might not have the money, but you've got the skill. Absolutely. And that kind of skill is needed by your community.
Absolutely. Coach Kathy, we leave it there today. Hopefully we've influenced a parent or two. We thank you so much for your time. It's gone 2:30. It's time for the headline news and then a beautiful segue into our kids programming.
Thank you, Bridget. And the news headlines: the probe into the George building collapse in the Western Cape in 2024 has identified a number of breaches and serious irregularities that compromised prescribed safety construction measures. Home Affairs Minister Dr. Leon Schreiber says the core reason for the decline in voter participation in the country is because voters do not see the outcomes of their contribution in their daily lives, and China has announced its latest retaliation against U.S. President Donald Trump's tariffs, placing an additional 50% levy on goods imported from the United States. A full update follows at the top of the hour.
April is Freedom Month, a month to reflect, celebrate, and move forward. SAFM is bringing you powerful stories, insightful debates, and voices that shape our nation. Stay tuned to SAFM, where freedom, history, and the future meet. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. Night Talk with Oliver Dixon.
When leaders need to account, we call on them. When society needs to debate, reflect, and advance, we're here to have the conversation. Join me, Oliver Dixon, on Night Talk every Monday to Thursday from 10 to 12 midnight.
SAFM has signed a code of conduct that is enforced by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. Under the code, we are committed to giving news that is accurate, comment that is fair, and programming that is not harmful, does not amount to hate speech, or contain violence or explicit sex. If you think we are not living up to that code, then you can inform the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. Direct any complaints in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. PO Box 142365. Craig Hall 2024. Fax to 011-326-3198 or an email to bccsa@nabsa.co.za. For more information, please visit www.bccsa.co.za.
Whether it is a CCMA referral, problems with a mechanic, or unfair blacklisting, Clientele legal plans are affordable, and you receive up to 670,000 rands worth of legal services per year. We cover civil, criminal, and labor-related matters. Our legal team will be your support 24 hours a day. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and a licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
This program is brought to you by SABC Education, enriching minds, enriching lives.
SABC Education, in partnership with the Department of Health and Dilifala Bantwana, bring you episode 19 of the Side-by-Side Drama Season 4, focused on basics of child development.
Say and say, side by side.
Singama Africa Kenya you Tina Singama Africa Kenya you Tina Singama Africa Kenya you Tina
Mama will see you after work again. Yes, my baby. Enjoy your days, Spogazi.
Spogazi seems to be adapting well to creche.
She does, yes, ma'am. I don't know why I was so worried about putting her in creche.
You were stressing for nothing. It's natural to feel that way. I remember with my little ones, I was so anxious and nervous. I missed them so much. I kept on wondering if they're okay, are they fed, are they thirsty, or if they are lonely without me.
That's exactly how I felt as well, yes.
But do you know what? I found serve and respond is a very effective way of making sure that children develop but are also seen and heard, so they don't feel lonely.
Serve and respond?
Yeah. Do you know what it is?
Yes, of course I know what it is. I just forgot. Everybody knows about serve and protect.
Serve and respond.
Yes, that's what I meant to say. Oh, ma'am, well, thank you very much for taking such good care of her. I think I must go now, though.
Have an awesome day ahead and take care of little Spogazi. So, the last time we spoke, I was talking about children's rights. Children's rights are not that popular with parents these days, families and communities, because they believe children have the right to do whatever they want and you cannot discipline them. Then children become rude and cheeky to adults,
show no respect, and adults can do nothing about it. Is that what children's rights are about?
Yeah, but Mamsi.
Incorrect. Parents have rights too. And one of these rights is the right to be respected and listened to. Children also have the right to be safe and not to be exploited.
Right, too late for Imange. We all know she likes old guys.
Oh, shut up, Bonga.
How Shoge? Do you still get these special classes after school, huh?
Imange, where are you going to? Imange, calm down, please. Bonga, what's going on here?
Oh, nothing, Mom Cindy.
Imange, are you okay?
I'm fine, Mom Cindy.
Then tell me, what happened in class?
I said I'm okay. I must go to my next class. Sorry.
This is not good.
Hey, Babalwa, how are you doing?
I'm good, thanks, Sis Joyce. I just wanted to thank you for convincing me to put Uspoga as a crash. She loves it there, eh?
I'm so happy things worked out for you.
Yeah, but there's something that I must ask you.
Sure, go ahead.
One of the teachers at the crash mentioned a serve and respond. Apparently, they use it at the crash for the children's development. But what is it and how does it work?
Oh, well, that's a method we use to communicate with children, especially babies. You use it all the time, actually.
I do?
Yes. Young children naturally reach out for interaction through babbling, facial expressions, and gestures. And then adults respond with the same kind of vocalizing and gesturing back to the children.
Oh, now I get it. Like when I speak back to her and gesture or smile or laugh.
Exactly.
But how does it help with their development?
Well, it helps to shape the architecture of their developing brains by wiring it, especially in the baby's early years.
That's interesting. I never knew that, Yaz. I thought I was just being cute back at her.
Well, these primary attachments, usually with parents, but also with uncles and aunts and grandparents and siblings and even teachers, they actually help the babies to develop social skills.
Social skills? Which social skills?
Think about the ability to calm themselves when they are in a state of panic or stress, or even being aware of their emotions or recognizing the feelings that other people have, which allows them to become compassionate. There are many other social skills that serve and response develops.
This is so interesting, Sis Joyce. Please tell me more. What other skills?
Okay, Babala. So it also helps to develop impulse control and the ability to make eye contact, which is very important for mutual respect. And it also helps to develop their ability to share and also to take turns.
And all of this comes from serve and respond. Wow. So what happens when kids don't get this type of interaction from their parents or loved ones?
Well, children who don't get love and care, they can be at risk of experiencing toxic stress, which affects their emotional and brain development.
So they might not develop the ability to have compassion for others and not see others as fellow humans who have feelings just like they do.
Exactly. That is a very big possibility.
So could this be why there's so much violent crime?
I don't know, Babalwa. I'm not qualified to answer that question, but you do raise a very interesting issue.
I like the fact that it seems as though we are all wired to connect with others. And we learn how to connect when our parents or caregivers connect with us when we are babies. And we do these things without knowing. It comes naturally.
Yeah, but sometimes people's environments or their situations actually break that natural urge to want to connect with their children. And other times, parents or caregivers themselves didn't experience that type of connection when they grew up.
No, man, that's so sad.
Yeah.
We must stop that cycle, Mus.
Yeah, we're trying our best.
Singama Africa, Kenya, you. Tina. Singama Africa, Kenya, you.
Join us again tomorrow as we sit down with an expert at 2:30 to further discuss basics of child development right here on SAFM.
Side by side.
This program was brought to you by SABC Education. Enriching minds, enriching lives. First Take SA, 5 to 6 a.m.
President Cyril Ramaphosa says business cannot dictate terms to the government or the ANC as tensions rise with its GNU partner, the Democratic Alliance, over the national budget. Mr. Monaghed, now as the president of the Black Business Council, how do you interpret this statement?
Part of the problem that we need then to confront as a country is that you cannot then be held at ransom by a particular party. There are no risks in an event where they exit the government of national unity because there is a trade war. We have the time to be fighting over our petty issues whereas Rome is burning.
Elvis Preslin on SAFM. SAFM has signed a code of conduct that is enforced by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. Under the code, we are committed to giving news that is accurate, comment that is fair, and programming that is not harmful, does not amount to hate speech, or contain violence or explicit sex. If you think we are not living up to that code, then you can inform the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. Direct any complaints in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. PO Box 142365. Craig Hall 2024. Fax to 011-326-3198 or an email to bccsa@nabsa.co.za. For more information, please visit www.bccsa.co.za. Here, there, and everywhere. SAFM 104.6 FM in Kimberley.
Bridget Masinga, weekdays on The Full Circle.
So, have you decided where you want to live? Are you thinking more freestanding home? Or are you thinking more of a gated community / complex? What are the pros and cons of both options? And this is a conversation we are having with Tim Akinusi, who's the CEO and co-founder of Mortgage Market. How are you doing this afternoon, Tim?
I'm very well. And yourself, Bridget?
I'm great. Thank you very much. I think I'm at, and I don't know if precipice is the right word here, but I think I'm definitely at those crossroads of deciding, do I move out of my gated estate and move into a free standing home, or do I move into a slightly smaller cluster, maybe 4 or 6 manageable folks from my current situation? If you're South African, these are the questions you have to ask yourself when you are thinking of buying a house.
Absolutely. And Bridget, there are no right and wrong answers. It's all dependent on your lifestyle choices and the situation that you find yourself in. And also your life stage. These are things that every South African has to grapple with, to be able to make sure that they're comfortable with the most important part of their lives, which is where they wake up and how they live.
Yeah.
So these are choices, and these choices are often dictated by the extent of freedom that we want to have, the extent of flexibility, and what you value at that stage. Is it privacy? Is it cost? Is it a sense of individuality? All of these things, go into factoring our decisions whether or not to live in this gated community or the freedom of a freestanding house.
Because, and I think what you highlight here, what you list speaks to the pros and cons of each situation, right? Because, for instance, if you're thinking from a sense of freedom, it becomes two-pronged. How do you define freedom? Someone might say it's the ability to be able to lock up my house and go, and knowing that I live behind a gate, behind community, and there are people who can essentially cast an eye on my home while I'm gone. And some people might say, well, for me, freedom is the ability to be able to do as I please, play my music as loud as I want to, paint my house whatever color I want to, and not feel like I need to be considered of all these other people.
100%. And, freedom is not free.
Yeah.
The cost of freedom is really that, if you are choosing to live in a standalone house, right, let's just look at some of the pros for that. You're effectively saying you don't want to be part of a community. You don't want to be subjected to certain rules. As you mentioned, you want the freedom to paint your house the way you'd like. Because at that stage, you would be somebody who is looking for a sense of privacy, and you want to be able to custom build a house or live in a way that suits your individual preference. And then typically you'd be choosing a standalone house. The cons to that, which is the negative impact, is that you are now more accountable for your own security. You're now more accountable for the maintenance of the upkeep of the fence, the road, making sure that your refuse is removed from the premises. And there's a sense of individuality which could also impact on the resale value of your house, because now you don't have any pure comparatives in as far as what your neighbor sells their house for, or what you think your house is worth, because of the sense of individuality. So it's very hard for banks to, for instance, place a value on your house because of the extent of the lack of comparatives for that. So that is the downside to it. Versus if you were to live in a gated community, then you have a sense of security, given that you are in a communal type of structure.
Yeah.
Right. Your costs are shared. You have more amenities around you, and often those are very attractive values that other people would place a premium on and would look to move into your community and potentially pay a premium for that. Obviously, the downside to living in a gated community is you're subjected to levies collectively. You need to abide by certain communal general rules.
Yeah.
And there's less privacy because your neighbors tend to be a lot closer to you, and you have less individuality in as far as the look of your house, what you painted, what your roof is, and the structure of it. So those are some of the pros and cons between both.
Yeah.
And often I would say to first-time home buyers, as an example, to say, when you are starting out owning your first house, you probably want to start off in a complex. And typically these are sectional title homes because your costs are taken care of. The value of your house is far more predictable. And then as you grow older and want to have a family and want to have more freedom and individuality, then you can potentially look to either buy in a gated community and still have a standalone home, or just go with a standalone home altogether.
Tim, let's hold that thought right there, and then we'll come back on the other side of this and continue exploring some of your advice. It's just gone 10 to 3 o'clock on the Full Circle with myself, Bridget Masinga.
Whether it is a CCMA referral, problems with a mechanic, or unfair blacklisting, Clientele legal plans are affordable, and you receive up to 670,000 rands worth of legal services per year. We cover civil, criminal, and labor-related matters. Our legal team will be your support 24 hours a day. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and a licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
Living your best life on the Full Circle.
We are in conversation with Tim Akanusi, CEO and co-founder of Mortgage Market. Are you deciding to go freestanding or perhaps go gated? And if you're going gated, what kind of gated are you going in? Because there's also different gated communities. We're looking at the pros and cons of all the options there for you. I think I'm definitely at that stage in my life where I'm defining freedom and my flexibility quite differently. And privacy means something a little different to me now, Tim, because having been a 2-time home owner behind gates with other community, I think I'm over the novelty of it. When you were talking, for instance, about from an affordability perspective in terms of shared costs, in my mind, I think I've resolved that, you know what, I actually don't want to contribute to community levies. I just want to handle all of my costs myself now. I I want to be self-governing in my little freestanding home, Tim.
Yes. Seems like you want your own agency, eh?
I really do. But the interesting thing is when we talk about also the different kind of gated communities, I came across a gated community just the other day, tucked away in Bryanston. It's almost as though they took a portion of Bryanston, like 4 or 5 streets, coordinated them off and created a little community behind gates. So it gave you the sense of you're still in suburbia. The roads still look the same as Bryanston roads, the houses and everything else. It's just we've walled ourselves off into a little enclave. And I thought to myself, now I can do that because I feel as if it gives you the freedom, the flexibility, the privacy, the sense of self-identity without feeling like you are part of this community that is regimented.
So, effectively you're getting the best of both worlds, right? Because you are dealing with the security risk by clustering together, yet having the benefit of your individuality because your house effectively is likely to be a full title. So it's not sectional title, which means that as a full title homeowner, you get to customize your place as you see fit. It also does mean that you would have to handle your own insurance when it comes to your buildings insurance versus being part of a collective sectional title scheme where if your geyser breaks down, then, you pay your levies to the body corporate, and they effectively would be handling the cost of the replacement of that geyser and the structure. So there is a cost to the full title nature of your house. And that's some of the things that you've got to be concerned about, which is your costs are going to go up. However, you are getting the benefit of the security in the context of your cordoned off sort of community that has been created. So I would often say to people is factor in what you are prepared to pay as a homeowner, right? And also then the things that you value, you should be able to list them down and put a price on those things and then make a decision from there. Because there truly are no right and wrong answers. It's really down to the things that you value and the life state that you're in.
Absolutely. Let's go to WhatsApp and see what's on our listeners' minds.
Good afternoon, Bridget, and good afternoon to your guest. Bridget, this thing of standalone house or gated communities, in most cases, there is no community in this flat or complex that we live at. We are just neighbors and we just say bye-bye, that's it. We don't know each other's names and all that. It's just the lady that stays next door and that's it. So sometimes there's no difference. I feel like sometimes once people leave the location or leave the villages, the community actually dies.
I mean, that is an interest and a fair point, right? Because I'm definitely the lady next door. I'm not trying to know you.
Yeah, that is a fair point. You see, the idea of community is, it's one thing to be next to each other, but then it's another thing to do life together. It's another thing to organize, what's this famous thing that they do over Halloween?
Oh, yes.
Where they gather the community around and they make it fun for the children and they try to effectively do life together. And in a gated community, those types of initiatives are encouraged because it gets you to almost it forces the sense of actual engagement versus in a standalone context where that's not necessarily something that some body corporate takes ownership of. That really is down to the individual homeowners to try to drive those initiatives, which is a lot harder to do when you're in a standalone setting, right? Because it really depends on the level of appetite for somebody to take time out of their busy schedules to arrange those community-type occasions. So that is the downside to the standalone, is that you're together but not quite together, not quite doing life together.
Absolutely.
Versus in a gated community, those things are encouraged by the body corporate that take the initiative to arrange for opportunities for everybody to do life together.
Absolutely.
So,
sometimes it just speaks to the people who live in that community, because we could all live together, but still there would be nobody who really sees the sense of trying to bring us together. But just in our final minute, maybe touching on the practicalities as well of, and you touched on it a little bit, for instance, on the maintenance of your home when you stand alone versus in community.
Yeah, that's a very important point, because ultimately we want our houses to appreciate and value. And you have to be concerned about the extent to which, in a standalone context, right, you don't control that street. You don't control how the paving gets maintained, or how the security or the communal aspects of that street gets maintained. So that could negatively impact you when you are in a position where you'd like to sell. Versus in a gated community or a complex, that is absolutely one of the key things that you can be assured of that gets handled consistently over time, is the maintenance, which adds to your predictability of what you could potentially sell your house for.
Absolutely.
So there is a real financial consideration when choosing to buy property in a gated community versus a standalone.
Tim, I get the feeling we might, impose on your time again at some point to have a different kind of conversation. That was Tim Akinusi, who is the CEO of Mortgage Market. That is it from today. That's our time. Ashraf is standing by already. But first, we're going to give you the top of the hour news, and we'll see you tomorrow. Inshallah, God willing, we do it again.
Thank you, Bridget. And the team. Top stories at 3. Parliamentary Budget Office believes VAT increase is necessary, and China retaliates with 84% tariffs on U.S. goods. For SAFM News, I am Ondalambana, and a very good day. The Parliamentary Budget Office says the 0.5 percentage point VAT increase announced by the Finance Minister in the 2025-2026 fiscal framework is justified and necessary. The office is briefing the National Council of Provinces Select Committee on Appropriations on the Division of Revenue Bill, Appropriation Bill and ESCOM Bill for 2025. The fiscal framework and revenue proposals were passed by the National Assembly last week by slight margin, with recommendations that National Treasury must be given 30 days to come up with alternatives to tax hikes while scrapping the VAT hike. Lwazigazi Ntinzi from the PBO explains.
The proposed VAT increase is justified in the budget by comparing our VAT rate to countries with higher VAT. However, these countries have far lower unemployment rates, ranging from 3% to 13.4% in 2024. So this means that people within these countries have jobs and they have an income.
5 employees of the National Home Builders Registration Council have been suspended following the collapse of the George building in the Western Cape last year. A report has revealed that several systematic failures that led to the collapse were found. 34 workers died and many others injured when the multiple-story building crashed during construction. Human Settlements Minister Thembi Simelane says a probe found that the George municipality had approved the building plans when construction was already underway.
Justice is taking place. Yes, you may not be having a person who has been arrested, but both internally, suspension has happened and processes are undergoing. We actually not only referred for criminal investigation the company concerned. No, we also referred some of our internal staff that the police may also have to look into. How does a building start without the approval of a municipality? It looks like too convenient to be a lapse in system.
Home Affairs Minister Dr. Leon Schreiber says the core reason for the decline in voter participation in the country is because voters do not see the outcomes of their contribution in their daily lives. Schreiber delivered the opening address at the Electoral Reform Consultation Panel's two-day international conference in Boksburg on Gauteng's East Rand. The ERCP was appointed last year to investigate, consult, report on and make recommendations about potential reforms of South Africa's electoral system. Schreiber says though electoral reforms are necessary in order to change the status quo.
The source of voter apathy, which is one of the, I think, motive forces behind this work, does not stem from the discussions we have about proportionality, constituencies, thresholds, and all these other issues. The core reason why voter participation is declining in South Africa is because voters do not see the outcomes of elections in their day-to-day lives. So conversely, if we want to start increasing voter turnout and satisfaction with democracy again, then we need to undertake the tough reforms required to improve the daily lives of the South African people.
The case of a Congolese national accused of assaulting and torturing patrons at Zenzu nightclub in Pretoria